All right, let's jump right into today's explainer, where we are unpacking a really profound philosophical framework. We're looking at the teachings and writings from Sui Feng, the Guide of Life Chen Yuan. Now, today we are zeroing in entirely on this brilliant extended metaphor he uses about water. It's essentially a conceptual framework that takes something as basic, as everyday as a single drop of water, and uses it to explain the massive complexities of human life, spiritual progression, and societal morality. It is a wildly unique lens to look through, so let's get right into it.
To really grasp this text, we're going to trace the exact journey of one single drop of water. We'll start with the metaphor of living water, then look at Sui Feng's take on the limits of traditional spiritual paths, dive into the process of internal cleansing, tackle a very sharp critique of societal hypocrisy, and finally reach the ocean of life.
So, we begin our journey exactly where all life begins. Section 1. The metaphor of living water and finding the source.
The text actually kicks things off by grounding its philosophy in classic literature, opening with this really beautiful poem by the ancient scholar Zhu Xi. And it asks a surprisingly simple question: how does a pond stay as clear as a mirror? Well, the answer is that it has a constant flowing supply of fresh water from its original source. Without that fresh supply, the water just literally cannot maintain its clarity.
And this perfectly illustrates Sui Feng's core argument. He says that a human being is just like a basin of water. Think about it. If we are connected to our source, to living water, we're full of vitality, youth, and we can flow all the way to the sea. But if we get cut off from that source, we become stagnant. Our existence gets blocked, the water rots, it smells, and ultimately it leads to death. In this framework, there's really no middle ground. You are either flowing from a source or you are stagnating.
Which naturally brings us to Section 2, the limits of traditional religions, and searching for the source and the ocean.
Now this is where things get super interesting. Sui Feng actually critiques mainstream spiritual traditions using this exact same water metaphor. According to his writings, traditional religions offer incomplete journeys. For example, he argues that Christianity has a source of life but can't quite see the ocean of life. Buddhism, on the flip side, has the ocean but lacks the original source. And Taoism, in this specific framework, finds neither the source nor the ocean. The text says that even when these traditions give you glimpses, it's hazy, kind of like stumbling around in a fog. In stark contrast, Sui Feng posits that Life Chen Yuan alone connects both ends, the original source and the ultimate ocean destination, making sure the water never dries up.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Simply finding that connection isn't enough. You have to continuously flow. The text warns us that if you only want to take water in and never let it out, like if you try to possess it or hoard it for yourself, you're inevitably going to swell up and create a massive, destructive internal flood. To actually reach the ocean, you have to flow with the stream. You literally have to let go of the desire to own the water.
So, if we're meant to flow, how do we actually purify ourselves along the way? Let's look at Section 3, cleansing the mind and washing away the soul's garbage.
To explain this purification process, the text pulls directly from Buddhist thought, specifically quoting the sixth patriarch, Huineng. The key idea to grasp here is original mind, or self-nature. Sui Feng is arguing that living a true spiritual life doesn't mean you have to add a bunch of new stuff to yourself. You don't need complex rituals or brand new features. Actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. You just need to clean out your inner garbage, wash away the accumulated dirt in your soul, and restore your original pure nature. Just go back to being a clean drop of water.
And as your original nature becomes purer, the text outlines this really strict evolutionary hierarchy. You don't just stay a clean drop of water forever. Your nature elevates. You transform step by step, starting out as an ordinary person, evolving up into a sage, then an immortal, an earthly immortal, a celestial, all the way up to reaching the ultimate state of an angel or Buddha. But remember, the whole shebang starts with that internal cleaning.
Okay, but practically speaking, how does one clean out that inner garbage? Section 4 tackles this head-on by denouncing societal hypocrisy and pushing us to open the windows of the soul. This is where Sui Feng makes a super sharp and honestly highly controversial contrast to explain what true cleansing really looks like. He argues that the absolute only shortcut to restoring your nature is radical openness. I mean, laying your inner world completely bare before the divine, like throwing open a window to let the sunlight blast in. To illustrate this, the text points to the controversial internet figure Musi Mei, highlighting her completely unabashed, naked openness. Xu argues this kind of radical honesty is way closer to restoring true nature than the behavior of fake moral scholars or officials. You know the type, people who act outwardly righteous, but inwardly, they're totally corrupt, just hiding their true secret desires.
To really hammer home this denunciation of hypocrisy, the text impartially brings in Jesus' famous condemnation of the Pharisees from the Gospel of Matthew, and it's a perfect parallel for Xu critique. He's calling out people who are like whitewashed tombs. They look beautiful and totally moral on the outside, but inside they're just full of decay and uncleanness.
And then, the author applies this biblical critique straight to modern society, calling out very specific types of hypocrisy. We're talking about officials who give these fiery anti-corruption speeches but are secretly the most corrupt guys in the room. Or scholars who write massive, grand essays on truth, only to completely ignore real-world suffering the second the essay is published. He even brings up the classic Chinese idiom of Lord Ji's dragon. It's about a guy who decorates his entire house with dragons to show off how much he loves them, but would absolutely run away screaming in terror if a real dragon actually showed up. These people hold all the power and influence, but their inner selves are just terribly murky, stagnant water.
Which brings us to our final stop on the water drop's journey. Section 5, merging into life's ocean. The text wraps up with a truly grounding takeaway. Before you go out there trying to fix the whole world, before you attempt to cleanse society's dirt or loudly preach morality from a soapbox, you absolutely must do the quiet, necessary work of washing away the garbage in your own mind first. You've got to filter your own internal water so that you can actually flow smoothly as a pure drop straight toward the ocean.
We are left with this totally stark, vivid visual contrast. According to Xu, a gentle person's mind, a truly pure mind, is just like a bright, sunny sky. It's transparent, it's open, it's completely exposed to the light for anyone and everyone to see. But a villain's mind? It totally relies on the dark. It's just a place for hiding dirt, holding on to filth, and keeping secrets. One is living, flowing water. The other is a stagnant, rotting pool.
So, based on Xu teachings from Life Chenyuan today, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder about your own spiritual journey. Is your inner self a pool of stagnant water, blocked up by secrets and everyday hypocrisy? Or are you a living, transparent drop, actively cleansing yourself and flowing outward toward the vast ocean of life? It's definitely a fascinating framework for some deep self-reflection. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep flowing forward.